Welcome to Bill's Sewing Studio. I'm Villa Walker. Today I will be demonstrating how to do the continuous wrap on the sleeve of the shirt and how to apply the cuff to the shirt. Okay, I've done one already to give you an idea what I'm doing. So here I have the sleeve in already with a cuff and the opening. That's what the continuous wrap looks like. Alright, so I'm going to be demonstrating that. Alright, we went through cutting the continuous wrap already. And I have basted it onto the opening of the sleeve. Remember, the opening of the shirt sleeve is to the back. Alright, so we'll be stitching it straight across. This is the piece that is there. This is the opening. You remember we just slit it. Alright, and the basting show you how we're going to be stitching it. So look at it on this side. Alright, look at the basting there. And look at it on this side as well. So you have an idea what it looks like. Now I'll stitch. Okay, so the stitching follows the basting that we had there, and we'll have to take out the basting thread. Then we'll do the next stitch. Alright, so here we go now. You're going to turn this cut edge 1 centimeter down like that, and you pin it in place. So this is going to be used to cover the raw edge that we have there. So it's turned down 1 centimeter. Okay, good. And right in the center, we'll clip here. Just a little clip to relax it. Alright, so we're going to cover over previous stitch line that we had before. Okay. Alright, so there we have it. We are covering the stitch line that we just did. And pin it in place. Okay, so straight across the center. Over to the other side. So it would look like this. That's your continuous wrap. Okay. So when it's folded, it would look like this. So your stitch line is going to be right along here. So I'll just baste it. So make sure it's accurate before to stitch. Whenever you're doing these technical things, although I teach pin and sew, it's best to baste before you stitch. Okay. This point here is very important right here. Very important. I come right across. And then we will stitch. Start it here. Remove the pins. And then we are ready to stitch it. Okay, so you make sure it's the same size. Alright, so there it is. Both sides, and that's straight across like that. I'll be stitching on the right side. So that's your continuous wrap, the opening at the back of the sleeve. Alright, so let's look at it now. When it is turned inside, is the view on the right side of the sleeve. That's the right side and that's the back. So there you have the opening there. And you put it like that. Alright, now after that is done, we are ready to put on the cuff. So this is known as a continuous wrap. You can do it on different aspects of your garment, like you're doing a polo shirt, you can use the same principle. Alright, so it's not just for the cuff alone. You can use it on your skirts if you don't want to put zipper in. Alright. So we fold under the upper side of the wrap like that, and the underside stays straight out, okay? So this is folded under and it stays straight out. This is folded under, there it is, and this one stays out like this. Remember, you have to put your button onto the cuff. So you have to keep that one out so we can get a covering, all right? We can get the covering. There you have it. All right, so I did the cuff already. So this is the cuff. I went the edge ahead and stitched the sides, right? Now you can put interfacing in if you want it to be stiff. You can put interfacing in and it should be a little firmer. Okay, now I'm putting one pleat here on the cuff, on the sleeve, and then the cuff will be put there. Now, depending on what you want, you can put gathers. That's why I put the gathering thread to show you. You can have gathers or you can have pleat. So I'm using the pleat, so I just ease back out your gathering. All right, so we're going to put the cuff single. There you have it. Open it like that, and you start here. All right. Right there, and you're going to pin it. Now you check and make sure that your ends, the ends are matching. Okay. We're going to test and make sure the edges are okay. All right, so So this side is coming right out here. Again, you can see what I'm doing. See, you put it right at the end like that. Alright. Keep your edges together and pin. Okay, so remember I'm just pinning the cuff on, and you pin it on single. Pin on the right side is touching. Make sure your edges are together. You don't want the edges not to be even when you're doing it. So we are pinning on the cuff onto the sleeve, right? That's the shirt sleeve. We are pinning on the cuff. You make sure it's good. And then I'm going to baste it because it's technical and you don't want to have to pick it back out. So once I get it good, I'm going to be basting it. Then I remove the pins and stitch. Remember that basting is a guide for your stitching. Oh dear. Checking to make sure the edges are kept together when I'm basting it. It should be just the one single piece of the cuff with the sleeve itself. So you open out the sleeve like that, open the cuff down, put the edges together, and then you baste. We'll be stitching this on 1 centimeter. Okay, so the basting is finished, and I will take out the pins. So we can stitch without the pins. Okay, now I am going to be stitching. Now when I'm stitching, I stitch on the cuff instead of the sleeve. And it's going to be 1 centimeter around. Okay, now what you look for at this point is to make sure the cuff is the same. Alright, so you put them together like that and make sure it's the same size. Alright, and that seemed to be good. Line it up properly there. So we'll remove the basting thread and then we're going to top stitch. So that's your first stitch line. Take out the basting thread and then you stitch again. So your seam allowance will be covered on the inside. You won't have any raw edge showing. Okay. So we're going to be turning this other side of the cuff. This is the other side of the cuff, 1 centimeter as well. And pin. So this is the other side of the cuff, 1 centimeter. There it is. You measure and make sure it's even because we want to make sure that the cuff is even all the way. Now after you do that, you're going to use it to cover the seam allowance. So you push the seam allowances on the inside between the 2 parts of your cuff. Alright, so it's going to go like that. See? So you put that inside and you cover over. Alright, you get another set of pins again and pin in place. So if you look at it, you're putting this inside and you're covering it over. There we have it. So you place this where the first, just to cover the first stitch line. Just enough to cover the first stitch line. Make sure your seam allowance go inside properly, so it's covered over all together. Alright, now you're going to look at the right side. This is now the right side of the sleeve. You make sure it is done properly. And you're going to put your allowance on the inside and you cover over like that. Alright. So where our next stitch line is going to be on top here, right around. So I'm making sure it's good before I stitch. Wasn't lying down a while ago, so I just had to check it back over to make sure it's good. It's best to make sure what you're doing is lying flat before you stitch, so you will not have to pick out, right? So whenever you're sewing, you make sure everything is good. So once you stitch, that's it. So let me check it again and see. And just as I basted the other one, I'll baste here as well to make sure that it is covered over properly. Double checking to make sure everything is good before I stitch. Alright, so that seems to be okay. And I'm going to baste again to make sure that once I stitch, then my cuff will be perfect. Basting take a little bit more time, but you can see if you need to do any adjustment before you stitch, right? So I'm basting, yeah, that looks good. Okay, it's coming nicely. So we are basting. Then we'll remove the pins and stitch. Okay, so you have learned today how to do the continuous wrap and how to apply the cuff to your long sleeve shirt. Right? So we are putting completing the cuff. notice I'm checking on the right side to make sure it's okay. It's not too deep. But that's where we're going to be stitching. Okay. It seems quite good. So right here, it's deep. What's happening here? Right, so I will stitch my cuff. And stitch on the right side because that's the part that will be shown. You want to make sure it looks good. So always stitch on the right side. Okay, so here you have the completion of your cuff onto your sleeve here. This cuff. Thanks for watching. I'm Villa Walker. Enjoy your sewing and remember to visit me at my page, Vel Sewing Studio, or call me at 876 787-7241. Have a happy sewing. Enjoy your sewing. Bye.